If you're thinking about moving to Bangkok with kids or you just arrived, one of the first questions you'll run into is schools. And international schools here in Bangkok can be a bit of a jungle. In this video, I'm going to explain how international schools in Bangkok actually works, the differences between the different tiers of schools, and also share our own experience choosing a school for our son here in Bangkok. And in the end of the video, I will break down what a full school year here in Bangkok can actually cost you. So let's get into it. Guys, welcome back to the channel. If it's your first time here, then my name is Oliver, and this channel is all about travel, lifestyle, finance, and living as a digital nomad abroad. And for the past year, I, together with my family, has been living here in Bangkok, Thailand. This video is going to be all about international schools, and international schools are going to be a huge part of your budget if you choose to move abroad. If you're planning on moving to Bangkok with kids, international schools are usually the only realistic options. Thai public schools can be good, but are mainly taught in Thai, and the curriculum is very different from what most Western families are used to. International schools, on the other hand, typically follows a British, American, Australian, or a IB curriculum, and the teaching is done in English. This means that children from all over the world can attend school together without having to learn Thai first. Bangkok actually has one of the largest selections of international schools in all of Asia, which is great, but it also means that choosing the right school can be a bit overwhelming. One of the first things that surprises most people when they start researching international schools in Bangkok is the price range, because the difference between the cheapest and the most expensive schools is enormous. At the lower end, you can find international schools starting from somewhere around $5,000 to $8,000 per year. Then you have what I would call the mid-range schools, which are often somewhere between $10,000 and $20,000 per year. And finally, you have the top-tier schools here in Bangkok, where the tuition alone can easily reach $25,000 to $35,000 per year. And that's before you add any other costs. Because in addition to tuition, there are often enrollment fees, building fees, uniforms, transportation, and schools activities. So the real yearly cost can easily end up being quite a bit higher than just the tuition. Another thing that is important to understand is that many expats in Bangkok actually don't pay for the schools themselves. A lot of corporate expat packages include international schools for the children as part of the employment contracts. And if your company is paying for the school, then it obviously makes sense to aim for one of the top tier schools. But if you're paying for it yourself, like many entrepreneurs, remote workers, or digital nomads do, then the most expensive schools can quickly become extremely expensive. Generally speaking, international schools in Bangkok can be divided into three rough categories. Tier 1 schools are the very well-known and established schools. These are the schools with the long histories, strong reputations, and large campuses with very impressive facilities. Then you have what I would call the Tier 2 schools. These schools still offer excellent international education with strong curriculum, good teachers, and solid facilities, but they are often a bit newer or slightly less established than the Tier 1 schools. Finally, you have the Tier 3 schools. These are usually smaller international schools with fewer facilities and lower tuition fees. Now, something that is important to understand here is that the Tier 1, Tier 2 schools are not necessarily better than the Tier 3 schools. A lot of the reputation around these schools come from prestige and history. Some of them have been around for decades and are extremely well known in the expat community, but that does not automatically mean that they are the perfect fit for every family. Sometimes a newer or slightly smaller schools can offer great environment, smaller classes, and simply better value for money. Just to give you a few examples of schools here in Bangkok, some of the most well-known Tier 1 schools include the NIST International School and the Bangkok Patana School. These schools have strong reputations, large campuses, and extremely impressive facilities. They've also been around for many years and are very well known within the expat community. Then you have what I would describe as the Tier 2 schools. Example of that would be the Australian International School Bangkok, St. Andrews International School, and the First and Future Step International School. These schools schools still offer strong international education, experienced teachers, and good facilities, but they're often slightly newer or less established than the traditional top-tier schools. And then you also have the Tier 3 schools, which are usually smaller international schools with fewer facilities and lower tuition. These schools can still be a very good option depending on the needs of your family, especially if budget is an important factor. Another thing many families underestimate when choosing a school in Bangkok is location. As you may know, Bangkok traffic can be absolutely brutal. What looks like a short distance on the map can easily turn into a 45-minute or even 1-hour drive during the rush hour. Because of that, many families actually choose where they live based on the school their kids attend. Either they move closer to the school or they just have to rely on the school buses. Especially for younger children, spending a long time commuting every single day is obviously not ideal. So location is definitely something that should be part of the decision when choosing a school in Bangkok. When we started looking at schools here in Bangkok for our son, we looked at several different options. Of course, we also looked at some of the very well-known Tier 1 schools in the city. But in the end, we realized that the most important thing for us was not necessarily the most famous name, but the overall learning environment for our son. Our son is currently attending the Future Step International School, or the First Step International School as it's called for the early years. One of the things that really stood out to us about this school was the facilities. The campus was recently rebuilt and upgraded, and the facilities are honestly very modern and impressive. The classrooms, playground area, and the learning spaces are all very well designed for younger children. Another thing that mattered a lot to us was the atmosphere at the school. The teachers here are fantastic, the classes are relatively small, and there is a really warm and supportive environment for the kids, and actually a good community for the parents as well. In my personal opinion, Future Step actually offers what feels like a Tier 1 experience, but at a Tier 2 price point. And I think one of the reasons for that is that the school is still relatively new after the rebuild, so you get very modern facilities, a great learning environment, but without paying the extremely high tuition that some of the older prestige schools in Bangkok charges. As promised in the start of the video, I will give you a price breakdown on a school year in Bangkok. I brought the numbers from our son's schools, the Future Step International School, so you can see roughly what a school year can cost in Bangkok. Of course, this will vary depending on the school, but you should give you a realistic idea. Our son is attending the FS2 level or K1, which is why these numbers are marked out on the paper. But for the sake of this video, let's look at what a full school year costs as a year 1 child. In the top, you can see that the registration fee, which is pretty normal, I would say, in Bangkok for the first child, is around 60,000 baht. And then you can see the school year is divided into 3 terms. And year 1, term 1, is 200,500 Thai baht, which is the longest term of the year. And then term number 2 is 137,000 Thai baht. And the last term, which is the shortest one, is 118,500 Thai baht. Full school year, that equals the amount of 456,000 Thai baht. That's for the tuition fee. For the extras, of course, as I mentioned before, registration fee is only something you pay when you start. You don't have to pay that every year. So that's a one-time payment. And as you also can see in the top, if you have child number 2 or 3, there are some discounts. For the extras, there's a snack and lunch option. And for the most children, they will have that every single day, which is 5 days a week. And you can see the total price of that in the bottom is 28,800 Thai baht. And on top of that, there's uniforms, and but that's not really that expensive. It's a couple hundred baht for a t-shirt and so on. So maybe if you calculate 5,000 to 10,000 baht for a full school year in uniforms and t-shirts, then I think you are pretty well covered. So as I also mentioned in an earlier video, I would say for a full school year on a tier 2 price point school, I would say roughly estimate 500,000 Thai baht. And just to compare these numbers to the tier 2 schools like the NIST International School or the Patana School, then these numbers are roughly half, if not a third of the price of those schools. So I would say for a full school year at NIST, as an example, you are likely to be paying above 1 million Thai baht for a full year, and I think all the extras are also a bit more expensive, so you can see there's a difference. But if you are planning on moving to Bangkok and these numbers still sound too high, then trust me, there are plenty other great schools in Bangkok where you can get prices that are half of this or maybe even a third of that. So there are options for everybody. So that was my short breakdown of the international school landscape here in Bangkok, Thailand. If you got anything out of this video, then consider giving it a like, and if you want more of these type of videos, then let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.